Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Ranger. In the last part, we went through our little practice mission where we had to find Larry's Pokemon, and now it's time for our first real mission. Mission 1, Escort the Professor. Now, don't you treat me as if I were like a decrepit old man. There is no need for you to feel concerned on my part. Let us march. Oh, but what's that? More tutorials! This is a Bellsprout. Bellsprout roam around pretty regularly, but their main attack is they'll throw a very long-reaching leaf that can cut your capture line and thus cause damage. I don't recommend using mining on them, though, for a reason we'll get into once we get past what the professor's about to say. And that's our first level up. Whenever you level up, 2 stats increase: your styler's health, as well as the length of the lines you can draw, meaning you can make wider loops. Bellsprout delivers cuts with its sharp leaves. It's just a sprout, but be careful. Ah, yes, I'd almost forgotten. Spencer asked me to teach you something, Kyle. So I shall teach you about Poké Assists. Let me demonstrate using the Bellsprout you've conveniently captured. A Poké Assist is a process in which you borrow the ability of a Pokemon in order to capture other Pokemon. Just think of it that way. I will now demonstrate, so watch closely. To perform a Poké Assist while attempting capture, touch the icon at the bottom right. The screen will switch, showing you your partner Pokemon and the friend Pokemon you've captured. Here you select the Pokemon from which you require help. There are 2 kinds of Poké Assists. One kind involves the chosen Pokemon directly assisting the capture by using a move of some sort. Your partner Pokemon would be this kind, Kyle. The other kind involves the chosen Pokemon powering up the styler's capture line in some way. The Bellsprout you've captured earlier is of the latter kind. Touch any Pokemon in your party and the Poké Assist icon appears. Let us use this Bellsprout's Grass Poké Assist. Grass Poké Assists cause tall grass to sprout where the capture line is drawn. This grass clings to Pokemon and stops them in their tracks. That naturally makes them easier to catch. You must beware, however. The effect of a Poké Assist does not last forever. A Poké Assist can be used only over a set amount of time. The remaining time is displayed on the upper screen. When the remaining time runs out, the Pokemon providing the Poké Assist is released automatically. Don't forget your sense of gratitude for the help it provided. Get used to that mechanic. That should be enough of an explanation for how a Poké Assist works. Just to confirm that you understand, would you like me to explain again? No. This sort of thing you should learn by actually doing it. That said, let me now say one more thing. As you move up in Ranger rank, you'll be able to use more kinds of Poké Assists. Descriptions of new Poké Assists will be added to your glossary, so you should look them up. Also, Poké Assists do depend on the type of groupings of Pokemon. See how they match against other groups in the glossary. That's quite enough out of me. Let's make haste for Fall City. You say that, Professor, but I have it on pretty good authority that there's at least one more tutorial coming up in about, 10 seconds, call it a hunch, but it makes sense because it covers the other type of Poké Assist on the whole. Ah, there's a Mudkip. It appeared at the right time. Let me explain how to perform the Water Poké Assist, which is rather unique. This part is the same as usual. Touch the icon at the bottom right of the screen. Now let us tap this Mudkip's ability. The Water Poké Assist creates bubbles that can be used to entrap target Pokemon. Touch your stylus to the lower screen. A bubble starts to form. Keeping the stylus on the lower screen will enlarge the bubble. Lift your stylus from the lower screen and there you have your bubble. If a target Pokemon touches the bubble, it'll become entrapped inside. Obviously, an entrapped Pokemon is one that is ripe for capture. Beware, however, bubbles burst over time. In addition to the time limit, there's another way in which bubbles may burst. An unfinished bubble, one you've not lifted your stylus from, is vulnerable. If a target Pokemon collides with an unfinished bubble, it will pop. That is why when you are making a bubble, you must keep a keen eye on the movements of target Pokémon. You should also know this, there is a technique for making bubbles float in any direction you wish. First, stop making a bubble. Don't lift the stylus or you won't be able to make it float away. When the bubbles grow large enough, flick the stylus whichever way you want the bubble to float. Look at the upper screen. There's an icon at the upper right which shows the stylus's movement. Refer to it to see how your stylus should be used if you're unsure of how to perform this Poké Assist. Like the water Poké Assist, there are others that may need you to flick with your stylus. Master the flicking of bubbles and you should have no trouble performing other similar Poké Assists. Oh, there is one more important thing to tell you. The bubble must be bigger than the Pokemon you're trying to entrap. That may be obvious, but mistakes have been known to happen. You'll be aware of that, youngster. That concludes my lesson on the water Poké Assist. Just to be sure, would you like me to go over that with you once again? No! Fine, Kyle. Let us make haste to Fall City. I'm gonna be using the water Poké Assist a lot. It's one of my favorites. Oh, hi, Ranger, I need help. There's bundled hay on the trail that's blocking the way. It's too big for me to move. Ah, so bundled hay is obstructing our passage. Kyle, you've already learned how to clear targets, yes? Put that knowledge into practice. Use a Pokemon's help to do something about our target, that bundled hay. Luckily for us, Torchic live in this forest. Torchic have the fire fuel move that we need to clear the bundled hay, so first you must find and capture a Torchic. Yeah, I guess you're more or less here to be a reminder more than anything, huh? Here is Torchic. Torchic's pretty similar to Mudkip in that it walks around and doesn't really do much to actively attack besides getting panicked every now and then or trying to actively run into the capture line. Not the best for experience, but it's a very early game Pokemon, so it doesn't really matter. Torchic spouts flames from its tiny beak. It can easily incinerate bundled hay. Or maybe it does have an attack. I actually seldom see some of the younger ones attack anyway. So, just to reiterate, from last part, touch a Pokemon, drag a line to your target, and you can clear anything in your path as long as it's the appropriate level and type. This is most of what this game's puzzles are. Get used to it. So, Poké Assists. The professor said we unlock more as we go through, and that is true, but as for the full extent of them, we only have access to 4 of them right now, out of, I think, 15, 16 total in this one, and even then, there's not a Poké Assist for every respective type of Pokemon at this point in the series. Pichu not only recharges the Styler, its cuteness is uplifting to others. Pichu, by the way, kind of does have a bit of an attack where it surrounds itself with electricity. It's pretty small range, so as long as you're drawing a wide enough loop, it's not going to really matter that much, but it's worth fearing all the same. Hi, are you on a mission? If your Styler's energy is running low, try to find and capture Pichu, that's what you should do. Magnemite or Pikachu will do too. Electrical Pokemon can restore your Styler's energy using their electrical power. Because you always have Plusle and or Minun with you, any electric Pokemon you find in the field are health restores, potions essentially, compared to an actual stunning electric type move. The big notes for the Poké Assist that we can do right now, you can do electric, you can do water, you can do grass, but you can also do fire, which we haven't seen yet. Notably though, the fire Poké Assist is a little different than the other 3 we've already talked about. This fallen log's in our way. A fallen log won't burn as easily as the bundled hay we saw earlier. Torchic's fire is too weak. Now what will you do, Kyle? Run and cry home to mom? But no, the fallen logs need a fire element of 2, so we need to find a matching Pokemon, and thankfully there's a Combuskin right here. Combuskin are the first active Pokemon that will actively try to attack your capture stylus at any point in time. They do 2 to 3 kicks of 2 fireballs in any given diagonal from them. By and large, most Pokemon in the game only do attack in diagonals, same with moving in diagonals. Thankfully though, Minun can stun it pretty easily and doesn't take a lot of loops to capture. Good for experience though. Combuskin delivers fiery kicks, flames shoot out from its toes. Neat. And I can still only carry 4, so Zigzagoon, you're out of here because you don't have a field move or Poké Assist. Normal types, by and large, don't have one to themselves. They get one in the sequel, though. So the fire Poké Assist. It operates a little differently than water and grass in that its effect actively slows down something when you loop them, Whenever you hit a Pokemon with a loop, they get lit on fire, and depending on their group, which is their type, they get stunned for longer or shorter periods. Because Pokemon type and type advantages are actively a thing. They're just referred to as groups in this one. So say you use a Fire Poké Assist on a Grass group Pokemon, the effect's going to be more effective on them. We haven't far to go now. Perhaps this mission was rather too easy for you. Let us make haste. Now I get why your name's Professor Hastings. I didn't understand that at all when I was a kid. In memory of Dugtrio, a loyal companion and co-worker in the long and difficult tunnel project. In the old days, you used to be able to see Dugtrio around these parts, but nowadays, I guess because there's more people about, they've moved deeper into the tunnel. I'll have to keep that in mind for later. Save point. I'm sure this is here for no reason. Like I said, I am going to be editing out a lot of saves moving forward as well, because there's just not really much of a purpose to have that, like, 5 to 10 seconds of footage in there. Ooh, a Dugtrio. Ah, now there's a rare sight to behold. It's a Dugtrio. That Dugtrio, it fled at the sight of me. How very rude of that Dugtrio. What's going on? Oh, mysterious sky rocks. And a Paris. Hello, Kyle. Can you hear me? That was a very close call indeed, but I managed to avoid injury. However, I'll need you to come get me. There should be another passageway near you that will bring you to me. I shall be waiting impatiently. I always love that line. So, we have a gate to our north and a Paris here. You can probably figure out what's about to happen here. Parises are actively aggressive. Whenever they see your capture line, they will move straight at it to try and do an attack that moves about 3 or 4 of their sprite widths forward. As long as you're doing kind of lopsided loops, they're not too bad to capture though. Paris cuts the capture line with its front claws to avoid being caught. And it's our next type of field move, the cut type. This allows you to cut down things like wooden fences, no problem. It's kind of interesting thinking about how this game does its puzzles by and large with just having things you need to destroy with other Pokemon. In some regards, it kind of reminds me of the new Paper Mario trilogy, but because the Pokemon are more often than not, nearby where you need to use them, it's much better designed than the new Paper Mario trilogy. So, Magnemite. They'll panic if you hit them with your capture line. They have a small range attack that just kind of encircles them with electricity, similarly to Pichu, but for some reason I find it's slightly easier to get hit by. Magnemite loses electricity to attack. It can also recharge your styler. I want to say from memory in the early game at least, the Magnemite line might even be more common than the Pikachu line, but don't quote me on that. For now, it's time for our next Pokemon. This is Poliwag. Poliwag's main attack is a water jet that goes about 2 to 3 body lengths away from it in any diagonal direction. If you hit it with your capture line, it will run around pretty anxiously, and thus it's pretty unreliable to capture at that point because it's pretty easy to get your capture line hit at that point. A strategy the game itself sort of demonstrates that you can do to help with having Pokemon hit your capture line less in terms of like just making contact with it is to sort of start off to the side from your loop and then try to make a perfect circle from within that as best you can. It's not super reliable, but it can be helpful. If Poliwag spots a ranger, it becomes startled and dives underwater. Yeah, some Pokemon will actively hide away in some hidey hole if they spot you. Not that that matters too much because for one thing, usually they're in groups to begin with, but also they run away slow enough that you can easily catch up to them, it feels like. Getting the browser, which is this game's Pokedex, completed is super easy compared to completing any main game Pokedex. All right, Professor, where are you? Oh, hi there. You two are off in a hurry. What is it? Who are you? Hello, Gramps. The esteemed Professor Hastings, the Chief of Technology of the Ranger Union, I presume? Well, we're strangers of danger, and we mess with rangers. That makes us the Go Rock Squad. So sorry, Gramps, but we're here to relieve you of your important package. What are you doing? Ah, stop it! Thanks so much for your cooperation. 1 super styler received. Thank you so kindly. That's all the time we have today. Adios, senor. And we did nothing to stop that. Oh, Kyle, we have a crisis on our hands. My super styler, the fruit of all my studies, was taken by some ruffians who call themselves the Go Rock Squad. If only I were 20 years younger, I could have twisted, crumpled, and tossed such dregs of society aside. Come, we must give chase. Alright, thankfully it's a pretty short cave from here. Oh, you gullible ninnies, you thought that rockfall earlier was a natural thing? You can stay cooped up down here courtesy of us. I'm the bad guy. Let's see what happens when I press this button on this remote control. Are you ready for this? Click. Well, now you're trapped in here with me. Good job. Is this like, is this a screw up? Well, good going. Yeah, it's a screw up, all right. How are we supposed to slow them down now, you incompetent fool? What are you going on about? You're the one that set the trap. All I had to do was press the button. It's not me who decided where the rock should fall. There's something to be said for that. But that's besides the point now. Let's hightail it. Meet our Team Rocket. They are almost adorably incompetent, it feels like. Two weird guys, yeah, they took off running like their pants were on fire. They were saying stuff like, ha 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 ha, and hee 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 hee. Save right now, by the way, especially if it's your first time through, and make sure you have a water Poké assist for what's about to come up, because it can be rough without it. That Rhydon! Those two scoundrels must have done something to enrage it so! Kyle, is your styler's energy sufficiently charged? Try using a Poké assist like I taught you earlier to capture that Rhydon. Kyle, if you put your feelings into making the capture, Rhydon should calm down. Time for our first boss fight. Rhydon shows off the problems boss fights can have in this game in that while Poké assists are usually very effective on them, especially if there's a type advantage like water against rock/ground in this case, you only having one type of partner Pokemon in this with mainline means you're pretty limited in terms of type advantages if you don't have anything else with you. 8 loops isn't too much though, thankfully, so even if you don't have any water types, it's probably not going to be too bad. Attack-wise, Rhydon will throw a rock about a body and a half's length away from it in any of its diagonals, and you can tell how a boss or any other Pokemon really is about to attack whenever they make their cry in a red exclamation points above their head. Not too much to worry about, but be careful all the same. Rhydon hurls big boulders that can shatter rock walls. I don't recommend getting greedy with extra experience on boss fights, by the way. It can be worth it, but there's probably better uses of your time. The Rhydon appears to have calmed down enough. Release it to wherever it came from. Whew, we've been beset by trouble. That little disturbance cost us time. We've completely lost sight of those scoundrels. Fine. Let us return to Fallout City and consider our options. By options, I don't mean fooling with some text settings. I mean considering what we should do. This is no time for inside jokes. Let us make way post-haste, Kyle. Does the professor understand the existence of the fourth wall? Friend Pokemon can't be taken out of their natural environment. None may go beyond this point. Like Spencer said, you can't bring Pokemon from one area into the next besides your partner. So like this Pichu and this Bellsprout, we're just gonna have to let go. Otherwise, well, we're not gonna be able to progress. By and large, this doesn't matter too much in the long haul. If you need like more recharging Pokemon, there's gonna be more options down the line anyway, but it's worth noting all the same. Here we are at the Fall City Ranger base at last. Kyle, well done. Your mission's been accomplished. You don't appear very happy. Let me guess, you're upset that I was mugged for the Super Styler? Now listen, Kyle. Was not your mission to deliver me to this location safely? Now examine me, if you will. Do you see a single scratch upon my person? I think not. And here we are at the mission's destination, the Ranger base. In other words, you've accomplished this mission's objectives impeccably. I mean, silver linings, I guess, yeah. I appreciate your outlook. Welcome back, Professor. How was Spencer? Thank you, Joel. Spencer's fine. Things did not go well for me, I'm afraid. It's quite humiliating, to say the least. You see, my super styler... I don't know about the Go-Rock squad. What did you say? The super styler's gone? We should discuss this in the Ranger base. Let's hurry there. And thus ends the first chapter of our adventure on the whole. Good work on escorting the professor. I've heard about you from Spencer. For a rank 1 ranger, you've done a commendable job. Kyle, I'm officially promoting you to Ranger rank 2. Hell yeah. Kyle was promoted to Ranger rank 2. And this now allows us to use fighting Poké Assists, another one of my favorites. Professor, there's something I need to discuss with you. It's too sensitive to discuss here, so let's take it upstairs. Kyle, please wait down here. Okay. Kind of taking the opposite way that Spencer talked about sensitive information, huh? So how are you two doing over here? Hi, the name's Keith. It'd be nice if you remembered my name. But you must be some kind of impressive. I mean, you must be to get the job done escorting the professor. Huh? You don't get what's so impressive about that? It just so happens Professor Hastings is the Ranger Union's Chief of Technology. That capture teller you're using? That's just one of the professor's inventions. Thanks, Beef. Hi, I'm Lint. Nice to meet you. Our leaders, Spencer and Joel, used to be on the same team together back in the old days. They used to clash as rivals when they were young, but nowadays they have nothing but respect for each other. They're famous in the Fiore region to this day as Spencer the Furo Master and Joel the Dodrio Rider. Hey, welcome back, Arya. Oh, that uniform. Are you maybe a ranger from Ringtown? But I don't remember seeing your face before. I'm Arya. I'm a ranger here in Fall City. You've never heard of me? You really don't know anything, do you? Oh well, that's fine. And who might you be? Okay, I see. So you're named Kyle. It's not a very inspired name, but I'll make an effort to remember it. Listen up, please. Yeah, gotta get over the line. I have bad news. Professor Hastings was set upon by criminals who claimed to be the Go-Rock Squad. Worse, they made off with the professor's invaluable Super Styler. The Super Styler, by the way, should be considered the latest version of the Capture Styler. I can't discuss it in detail because it's still in development. However, in criminal hands, its potential for wrongdoing is frightening. Recover the stolen Super Styler at any cost. That is the mission for every ranger in Fall City. This is no usual mission. This is not a problem that can be solved by the Fall City Rangers alone. I've just had the Ranger Union issue alerts to all ranger bases under its command. Every ranger in the Fiore region will be informed that the recovery of the Super Styler is the top priority mission. I ask all of you to fully cooperate with rangers across the region to complete this mission. I'm sorry that my carelessness has led to this. Professor. Okay, everyone, you heard. Please give this mission your best effort for the Professor's sake, too. Our first task is to gather intelligence on the Go-Rock Squad. We need to know everything there is to know. Investigation should fan out from Croca Tunnel where the Super Styler was snatched. Don't forget, I expect to be kept constantly informed. That's all. Everyone dismissed. Yes, you wanted to say something. Oh, you'd like to work alongside Fall City's Rangers? I appreciate your offer, but Kyle, I'm afraid this mission is too much for you in your Ranger rank. Also, there's something else I would like to entrust you with. Because of this mission, Fall City will be without its regular Rangers. While our Rangers are absent, I would like you to handle this city's Ranger activities. I'm asking you to help our citizens in need. That'll be your newest mission, Kyle. I mean, hey, I'll take it. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching. And in part 4, we're going to explore our newest setting of Fall City and see what it has for us. See you guys then.